Hello and welcome to our new parent orientation video series. My name is Avery and I am going to be your host today. I'm the program director at Green River Preserve and I've got 7 tips for you today on things you can do to prepare for summer camp. It's early in the spring. It's about time to be looking at the end of the school year, and for us, it's a time where we can start thinking ahead of time to see what steps we can take to help us feel ready, to help you feel ready, to help your child feel ready in all kinds of different ways for summer camp. Now, summer camp can be a really amazing experience while you're in it, but leading up to it, you can have some nerves, and there are some things that will be helpful for us to know, to have talked about, to have had the chance to maybe raise some concerns about with our child, to gauge how they're feeling about some things, to all the way to coming up with some ways that we can help them take ownership and control over their experience so they start to feel a little more confident coming into camp so that they can have the right experience, the experience that we're really hoping that they have when they're here. So today what I'm going to ask you to do is consider these tips, think about what your spring looks like and how you can fit them in so that you can have a really good time this summer, okay? So as always, if you have questions about anything you see in this video or about camp in general or how we handle things, or if you want some advice, please give us a call. So you can send me an email as well. You'll find all of our information on the website. And I think that's all I have to preface, so let's jump in with our tips, okay? So the first tip I have for you today is watch our videos. Got our tips right here. This one is watch our videos. You're already doing it. Congratulations. The thing that's important about this is it just shows that you are taking this seriously. You're taking, you realizing that you've already made this investment in something that is going to be really impactful and life-changing for a child, and knowing that there may be a couple things that we can do together to help make sure that that experience comes off in the way that we plan. So that means it's smooth, it's comfortable in the right ways, it's challenging in the right ways, and we get to do all the things that we love to do at camp. Okay, so that's number 1, watch your videos. You're already doing great. Tip number 2 is read our parent handbook. Our parent handbook is stuffed with all kinds of useful information, from how we deal with special diets to it has a packing list. It tells you all about how opening day happens, what happens on closing day. It's got how to do mail, all types of things that you'll find really useful as you're going through the packing process, the planning process, and even while your child's away. A lot of stuff there, so I recommend you go and download that. It's on our website, and you'll go to summer camp parent information, and there'll be a link there. I'll also put a link in the description, so you should see a link down there if you want to just click it directly. So spend some time with that and really go over it. If you've got questions, always send us an email or give us a call. We'll love to help you out. All right, so that's tip number 2, read our parent handbook. Tip number 3, this one I love. This one may sound a little counterintuitive at first, but I hope it'll start to make sense. So number 3 is create a countdown. Yes, that's right, create a countdown. Now this can look like maybe it's a calendar on the wall where you circle camp, and then you've got the couple months or weeks or days before camp, and you're counting down. And the reason that we do this is to help gain a sense of time and how time works. We find that, especially campers who are on the younger side, they tend to can have a skewed sense of time based on how you feel. And so we're going to talk about this in a later video on homesickness, but a real factor in the homesickness process and how it presents is that you feel stuck in time, and you feel like those feelings of sadness and missing home are never going to end. And we have the chance to help teach some of the skills of not only, keeping track of oh, it's coming up, I better do some things, but taking a little bit of mental control over what time feels like, what it acts like, how it behaves when you forget about it, and then you're coming up, oh my gosh, it's been 2 weeks and camp's 2 weeks closer. So I want you to create this countdown, and I think it will be even more successful if you and your camper do this together, so you can kind of go ahead and start that conversation. Okay, camp's coming up. How are you feeling? We often have campers super excited, say in December, about camp because they're remembering last year or something, and they're excited, but then it gets closer, and you start to feel a little nervous. So how can you go ahead and start the conversation of let's go ahead and address the things that you might be feeling nervous about, or let's go ahead and start planning. So, if you're nervous about your shoes, okay, that's fine. Let's go make sure you've got shoes and let's pick them out. Help ease those worries early on. And another really pro thing to do is once you've made this countdown, check in on it a little bit. It's been 2 weeks after you create the countdown, and you're going to be, your child's going to be here for 2 weeks. It might be a good idea to check in and say, hey, so it's been 2 weeks. How did that feel? Did that feel like a long time? Okay, so it didn't feel like a long time. What were you doing? Okay, well, you were busy. You were playing with friends. You were in school. And you try to help them think through, okay, if I'm busy, if I'm having a good time, things behave a certain way. And the idea is that helps set us up for when, your child has had some experiences thinking about time, and then, if they're saying that they're homesick, we can help them a little bit easier because they've had some exposure to this concept of yeah, it's not forever. You're feeling sad now, and what can we do about that? Let's talk about that, but don't worry, it's not going to be forever. So that is tip number 3, create a countdown, okay? Let's move right along. Tip number 4. This one goes really hand in hand with the last tip. Tip number 4 is shop and pack together. And so I was a counselor for a few summers, and one thing that always confused and frustrated me, but also just made me a little sad, is when I would say to my cabin, okay, it's time to everybody get your rain jackets on, or we're gonna go outside. And one kid would be like, but I don't have a raincoat. And we'd be like, oh, surely you have a raincoat. I'm so sure you have a raincoat. Let's go check. Come on. And so then we go into their trunk and we dig up throw things over there, and there's the backpack and the raincoat, and the raincoat's there because the parent packed it. Maybe obviously children definitely aren't always focused on exactly where their things are. That's totally true. But sometimes, if the child is not involved in the packing process, they might not know where their things are. And when you start to think about all the things that happen at camp, you're in a new place and the food's new and the people are new, and then you add to that you don't know where your stuff is, ooh, that can kind of create those feelings of nerves and anxiety and uncertainty. And so if you, as you're going through the process of picking out stuff, maybe you need, as I mentioned, maybe you need shoes or just a better raincoat or something like that, it can help feel prepared when they go, okay, I know I've got this, and I know where it is in my suitcase, that sort of thing. Now, I definitely know that children might pack things in ways that don't make any sense, and that's okay. Exert any authority or assistance needed here, but when they're involved, they feel more comfortable because they know where things are. Now, there's this other psychological reason why shopping and packing for a thing is super, meditative and de-stressing. And I know that this is so true for me. When I am feeling like I'm uncertain about a trip or something like that, doing the things of physically preparing really help get my mind in the space of, okay, I'm mentally preparing now. And I'm organizing the things in the right mental file cabinets, and I'm addressing okay, I'm not going to be worried about this because I packed extra batteries for my flashlight. That's done. So it really helps combine the actually being prepared and the being mentally prepared and ready and dealing with maybe any of the questions or concerns that come up when you're talking about summer camp in the future and there's uncertainty. Packing, shopping together, great way to build physical and mental preparation for camp. So do it. All right, tip number 5, spend the night away from home. Now, this doesn't mean necessarily you spend the night away from home, but your child. So have your child, especially if they haven't had much experience staying at friends' houses or at families' houses or something like that, and go ahead and do that with plenty of time before camp and see what happens. So have them stay at aunt and uncle's house or grandparents' house or friend's house, something like that, so that you can kind of do a test run. So there are 2 aspects to the spending the night away from home that I think are pretty important and interesting. So the first one is kind of obvious. It's a trial run. See how they do. If they, even if they express a little nerves or whatever, and you drop them off and they're fine after a little bit, and then you pick them up and they're mainly talk about other stuff and the fun that they had, great. you know that they're probably going to do well at camp because they feel, okay, things are a little bit different here, but mostly I can get along. It doesn't mean that they didn't feel homesick. And again, we're going to talk about homesickness in another video in real depth. That doesn't mean they're not feeling homesick. That just means that they can figure stuff out and adjust pretty well. But you may, get a call at 3 in the morning saying, "Oh my gosh, come pick me up." And that's not that unusual either. So that tells you something super important, which is there's some more work you can do to help them feel prepared, help give them some of the skills to address homesickness. So doing some of these things will help with that. And then watching that homesickness video is going to be really important to help get them from a place of lots of uncertainty and not a lot of skills adjusting to where they feel comfortable adjusting. So test that out. The other thing I'll ask is that if you do this little experiment and they're struggling, give us a call. Let us know. We're always on the lookout for homesickness here. We'll talk more about that, but that's a huge thing that we pay attention to and we care about. And if you tell us ahead of time, we can really start, just add those extra eyes, definitely looking for it, because we can go, oh, that child is not just tired with their head down, they might be homesick. So let's see what's going on with that. So that gives us some tools to be able to be really helpful and prompt in how we address and get your child feeling better. So that can be really important. I think that's it for Spend the Night Away. Try it, see what happens, and you might be surprised at how well it goes. So give that a shot. Okay, tip number 6. Tip number 6 is a little bit philosophical, or it's not a concrete action, but it's something that I think really matters, especially over a long-term time, like 3 months leading up to camp. This can be a real opportunity for you to help build your child up. So when I say talk intentionally, tip number 6 is talk intentionally. What does that mean? I think the main thing that I want to impart is that the things that you say and how you frame the experience of summer camp for your child are really going to matter. It's going to matter if, say, every time you mention summer camp, you mention getting bitten by a snake, which is not going to happen. And if you are, even if you're joking, if you kind of frame it in these, in a sense of worry, like, are you nervous? You feeling nervous about summer camp? You frame it in the context of worrying, you're missing a real opportunity to instead instill confidence and empowerment in your child. So what I'm going to ask you to do is that when you're talking about concerns, which you totally can, doesn't mean you shouldn't talk about things that might worry them, I want you to be mindful of trying to frame it in terms of, yes, these things can be hard or be uncomfortable, and you can do them. This is such an important thing for you to do, and camp is the place to do it because you're going to be, surrounded by all of these people whose whole job is to help you have a good time and to learn things and have fun experiences that you would never have in another place or another time. So your job is to go out there and do these things that are hard, and you can do them. It's really powerful to be able to give them that confidence boost to say, you can take this on. You can do it. So I want you to keep that in your mind as you're talking about camp as it's coming up. How can you empower them to take ownership of the experience? You're worried about this? All right, let's go pack. Let's go shop. Let's go look at the countdown. Let's go take some of these actions that are going to help you be mentally and physically prepared. Okay, so that's talk intentionally. All right, tip number 7. This is maybe one of the most overlooked tips, and because this experience is all about your child and you're sending your child to have this really special, life-changing, magical experience, and camp truly is those things, and therefore you owe it to yourself to make sure that you're going to be able to give this experience again to your child, and that means taking care of yourself a little bit. And so definitely we love it when you're sitting there refreshing the pictures every night and looking at those, and do that, but also make some plans for yourself. Okay, so tip number 7 is make plans for yourself. So they don't have to be anything outrageous. Maybe it could be a family vacation, it could be just spending some time with, if your child has siblings, spending some time with those kids who you don't really get to have that one-on-one time maybe with a lot. It could be just working on a personal hobby or project or something that brings you a little bit of joy. Like just sitting down and doing like straight up work maybe isn't like, at least keeping yourself busy, which is good, but do something to where you can be occupied, but also to where you go, yeah, I have given such an amazing experience to my child, and it is going to be time for me to take advantage of the space that I've created to work on some of my own things, so I can feel that this experience was valuable for everybody, that I am excited to give it again, so that I'm not sitting and wallowing and worried and all those type of things. So make some plans for yourself. You owe it to your child, you owe it to yourself. Do that. The last thing I'll mention is it can be helpful if you're in the area. This is like bonus tip number 8, is to come visit us. If you know that your child is super anxious or worried about camp, come visit. We love to have visitors. We're doing school programs kind of mid-April all the way up to summer camp, but we do have free weekends. We do have lots of fun programs going on, so you can come up and watch camp when it's lively and things are going on. So do call us, email us, make a stop at, when you're on your way to somewhere, or just come up for the afternoon, for the morning if you're within a reasonable distance, because it can really help fill in some of those blanks. We often fill in the blanks in our mind with worry, but if your child is anxious and they come, they can see where they're going to go to the bathroom, they can see where they're going to eat, they can okay, I'm going to swim in that lake, I'm going to do that zip line. Those things can be really useful. Fill in the blanks, lower the anxieties a little bit so that they can focus on the stuff that's positive about their experience. Okay? All right, so those are our tips for what you can do right now to prepare for summer camp. Thanks for sticking around and watching this video. I really appreciate it. And thanks again for taking the leap and sending your child to Green River Preserve. We're so excited to have you. Welcome to our family. And you will be hearing from us some more throughout the season and up till summer camp. And we're just so happy that we get to spend some time with you. So give us a call, send us an email if you have any questions. Again, my name is Avery, and I'm so happy to serve you and be your partner in making a wonderful, magical, nature-filled experience for your child this summer. All right, take care. We'll see you in the next video.